Prestige SUVs that sneak in under $100,000 are, well, pretty common, come to think of it. So let's take a look at these two. Lexus delivers a spacious SUV built on a reputation of reliability and practicality, and in this case, some sporting characteristics. While the Range Rover brings glamour and status and a more flexible drivetrain. And for that, you'll pay more. Both cars are powered by 2-litre turbo engines. We've got a petrol in the Lexus and a diesel in the Range Rover. We've also got front-wheel drive versus all-wheel drive, a 6-speed auto and an 8-speed auto. The first thing you notice about the Range Rover is the power. That torque kicks in really early in the rev range, so it just feels like it's always there and ready to go. The other thing is the steering. It's got a bit of weight to it, but it gives it a nice sort of grippy feel, and it's really quite sharp. And it dips into corners and steers like a car that's smaller than this size. This diesel engine is really quiet too, so it keeps the composure in this cabin at a level where you would expect it to be for something that's pretty fancy. Jumping in the RX, and immediately it feels huge, so much bigger than the Range Rover. And it's not, dimensionally, they're not that different. I think the steering is another thing that really divides these two cars. It's really light in here, which will be nice for handling around town. But then the flip side is it lacks that crispness and that sort of agility that we get in the Range Rover. I guess the big question is, how does the petrol perform against the diesel? It's not a patch on the diesel. It's a good engine and the power's pretty smooth, but you don't get that punch and that immediacy that we have in the Range Rover that just makes it a more enjoyable drive. Inside the Lexus, it's not only spacious, but it feels like a really practical and functional space. You've got coffee cup holders, a spot for your phone, wireless charging, charge points, and your screen sits front and center. It feels like a really user-friendly cabin, with the exception of this pad here. I still have not mastered it. Sensible and durable surfaces, clearly labelled buttons, and great storage define the cabin of the RX. Its on-paper credentials are great. Real-life execution, however, feels a little bit dated. The Velar is not without its foibles though. Its split-screen interface can get a little confusing, but it feels far more modern and special than the Lexus RX. Jump inside the Range Rover and it's a really different feel. For starters, this white leather is everywhere. It's equal parts fancy and impractical, particularly if you're going to have kids on board, or even grubby adults. These high gloss finishes here, which are also everywhere, are going to drive you crazy because of all the fingerprints and also the dust it accumulates. But a lot of people won't care. Why? Because it's just beautiful. Standard safety equipment is little help in dividing these two. Both are very well spec'd. The Lexus RX has better cameras, front, rear and side. The Velar adds self-parking, hill descent and trailer sway control. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are standard. Even though these cars are dimensionally similar, if you're travelling in the second row, it is the Lexus where you'll want to be. These seats are really comfy. There's a heap more legroom, and if you want to put 3 people back here, this centre occupant has a flat footwell, which is an absolute winner. On paper, it's the Range Rover that has the larger boot capacity, but take the tape measure to it and it's closer than those numbers might suggest. The Lexus actually has a wider opening, and let's not forget you can slide that second row of seats forward for larger items. They both have 40, 20, 40 split fold seats, heaps of bag hooks, anchor points and a 12-volt outlet. Where the Range Rover definitely slides ahead though is its towing capacity, far outweighs that of the Lexus. The Lexus betters the Land Rover where warranty and after-sales support are concerned. Both vehicles gain 5-star safety ratings, but the Lexus RX clearly wins the airbag count. Neither of these vehicles are a bad pick and deserve as much attention as their German counterparts. We find the Lexus is better value overall, but the Velar is a nicer drive, offers all-wheel traction, it will tow and go off-road, and it takes the win.